Sophie Cunningham owned Jacy Sheldon from the same game that Marina Mabrey did the massive body slam into Caitlin Clark on. She still owns Jacy. She still owns Jacy Sheldon. And what's great is she's got a great sense of humor about it, and she's not shy about it. I mean, what are they going to do?
When your star player gets knocked to the floor, most teammates wait for the refs to do something. But Sophie Cunningham, she didn't wait. She wrote a message in ink on someone else's rookie card. And that moment, it didn't just go viral. It flipped the entire narrative of the WNBA. Caitlin Clark hasn't just been the biggest name in women's basketball. She's become the WNBA's biggest lightning rod. Every arena she walks into sells out. Every shot she takes is on SportsCenter. And every time she touches the ball, someone's waiting to body check her like it's the playoffs.
This is kind of crazy. This one is kind of crazy. When you get Sophie Cunningham to sign a Jacy Sheldon rookie card with property of, that is crazy. That is crazy. Property of Sophie Cunningham.
And here's the crazy part. Nobody was really doing anything about it until now. Sophie Cunningham decided she'd had enough of watching her teammate take hit after hit with no consequences, and she wasn't going to just clap back with a tweet. She did it on the court, she did it with her voice, and she did it with a Sharpie. If you're the kind of fan who rides for loyalty and loves a good rivalry, hit that like button and drop a fire emoji in the comments, because this story's just getting warmed up. It all started on a night that was supposed to be just another regular season matchup, but what unfolded between the Indiana Fever and their opponents turned into something else entirely, a grudge match in slow motion.
Third quarter we go, they're trailing by 10. Keep an eye on her and Jacy Sheldon. Clark trying to back her down.
Clark is okay.
Sheldon, that was Clark, hitting her in the face. Clark is upset about that. Then everybody's upset about that. Marina
With the Fever trailing and tensions rising, Jacy Sheldon delivered a high, reckless foul that sent Caitlin Clark reeling. And if that wasn't enough, just minutes later, Marina Mabrey came flying in with a post-whistle body check that looked more NFL than WNBA. 2 hits, back-to-back, no ejections, barely even whistles. The message was loud and clear. Clark was open season, and the referees? They looked the other way. Again, Fever fans were livid. Clark was rattled, and the league? Silent. No statements. No fines that mattered. Just another night where the WNBA's biggest draw was treated like an acceptable target. But what nobody realized in that moment was that Sophie Cunningham had seen it all, and she was already planning her response. Not with words, not with complaints, but with action. Because what came next would flip the energy of the entire building and the league.
Sophie commits a hard foul on Jacy Sheldon. Again, as Jacy Sheldon is going up for a layup, Sophie bear hugs her and takes her to the ground. What I will say is Sophie did not grab her and throw her to the ground. She didn't body slam her. She didn't do anything, in my personal opinion. Maybe I'm biased here, but I'm gonna give you guys my straight up honest opinion on this. She bear hugged her, took her to the ground. Yes, it was intentional.
Later that game, when Jacy Sheldon went up for a layup, she probably expected a contest. What she didn't expect was Sophie Cunningham wrapping her up and pulling her to the floor with a move that wasn't dirty, but was definitely intentional. No elbows, no flagrant, just a firm physical reminder. A reminder that said, we saw what you did, don't try it again. And this wasn't some revenge hack job. It was strategic. Clean enough to avoid suspension, but forceful enough to make the point. Because Sophie didn't just check Sheldon, she sent a message to the whole league. You mess with our star, you're not walking away unnoticed. It was the kind of foul you feel in your shoulder blades 2 days later. The kind that ends viral TikToks and starts real respect. But what made this more than just a good, hard foul was that Sophie wasn't done. The game clock hit 0, but her message? That was just getting started. And the next move she made? That's when things went from physical to personal.
She's the problem. She is the problem.
Sophie takes the card, grabs the pen, and writes across the front, property of Sophie Cunningham. That's not a scribble. That's a declaration. That's, you want to press our star? Cool. Here's the bill. It's also a memo to the rest of the league. There's an
A few days later, Sophie Cunningham showed up to a Fever fan event. It was the usual vibe: photos, autographs, handshakes with the diehards. But then, something different happened. A fan stepped up with a Jacy Sheldon rookie card, not Caitlin Clark, not even Sophie's own. It was Sheldon, the same player who had just taken a swing at Clark's face and caught a personal foul receipt from Sophie. The fan didn't want a heart or a jersey number. They wanted a statement, and Sophie gave them one. She took the pen, paused for half a second, and across the card she wrote, "Property of Sophie Cunningham."
Sophie Cunningham would take her rightful place as the Indiana Fever enforcer, and I believe took the first step to her becoming the second most popular player in the WNBA. Sophie Cunningham is everywhere. Arby's, walking in. She's the best looking woman walking into these WNBA arenas. I mean, Black Belt Barbie, anybody? Black Belt Barbie.
That's not just ink, that's a power move. A mic drop, a line in the sand. Lexi Hull, sitting beside her, immediately cracked up. Fans lost it. Social media went straight into overdrive. The clip hit X, Instagram, TikTok. It was everywhere. The moment was raw, real, and completely unscripted, and the message couldn't be clearer. If you try to make your name by fouling Caitlin Clark, you might just end up part of Sophie Cunningham's highlight reel. This wasn't trash talk. It was branding. It was protection. And most of all, it was personal. Because from that moment on, the league knew Sophie wasn't just watching Caitlin's back, she was making it very, very public.
And it literally like pisses me off when people are like, she's not the face of the league.
Who would be?
What? When people try to argue that she's not the face of our league,
Yeah.
or if our league would be where we're at without her, you're dumb as
Yeah.
You're literally dumb as
The sad truth about this video we just watched is she is the first WNBA player I have seen to openly say this out loud, publicly, and not be ashamed in declaring it.
Every great player in sports history had someone who did the dirty work. Gretzky had his goons, Jordan had Oakley, Kobe had guys who racked up the technicals so he didn't have to. Steph has Draymond, and now Caitlin Clark has Sophie Cunningham. But here's the difference. Most enforcers can't shoot, can't run the offense, can't win games. Sophie can.
Clark is the reason we have been talking about the WNBA. Hate it or love it, it's true. I don't believe that Caitlin Clark necessarily wants that title that everyone has been giving to her. I think she just wants to be appreciated. And Sophie Cunningham, she just seems like such a real one, such a good friend. I think especially with women, especially elite level athletes, there's a lot of people, women, who will kind of stab you in the back. There's a lot of jealousy, a lot of resentment, especially when you're good. But Sophie just seems like such a girl's girl. I really, really like her. Maybe Caitlin Clark should do the next American Eagle campaign, or Sophie.
She's not some bench warmer who checks in to commit fouls and stir things up. She's a legitimate starter, a walking heat check, and one of the only players on the Fever roster right now who can flip a game with both her game and her grit.
And what do you guys think? Do you guys think this means anything? Like, obviously, when you get a Sophie Cunningham signed a Jacy Sheldon card, like, I think we should see that more in sports.
That Property of Sophie Cunningham card wasn't just a viral moment. It was the start of something bigger, a new identity for the Fever. Because for months, fans and analysts have said the same thing. Why isn't anyone protecting Caitlin? Now, they don't have to ask anymore, because Sophie made it clear. If the refs won't do it, she will.
This is hilarious. It really is. Indiana Fever star takes humorous jab at Caitlin Clark villain. You got to love an Iowa Hawkeyes wire headline. That's really good. That's Jacy Sheldon. Congratulations. That's all you're known as. The chick that was mean to Caitlin Clark. That's your legacy. I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, you've been traded, and I don't think you're much of a basketball player.
Let's get something straight. Sophie Cunningham isn't just riding the enforcer wave for attention. She's producing. Since the All-Star break, Sophie's been lighting it up. We're talking double-digit scoring nights, smooth step-back threes, and cold-blooded buckets when the Fever needed them most. Against Phoenix, she dropped 18 like it was nothing, while a few teammates were still figuring out which city they were in. This is what separates her from every other so-called enforcer in the league. She's not just there to throw a shoulder and flex for the camera. She's earning her minutes. She's carrying momentum. She's winning games. And that combination, production plus presence, is rare. Most players get one or the other. Sophie's out here doing both, and doing it in style. She's not just guarding the star, she's becoming one.
It it was to me payback for what was happening the entire game. But she did it in a way that she wasn't going to injure Jacy. She was just making it known, like, if the refs aren't going to handle it, I will handle it. We'll take care of it, but this is not what you're going to do when you come into our house. It was an intentional foul. It was a hard foul. She brought her down. But with that, you guys, Jacy Sheldon got up and she was ready to go. So as you guys can see in this video, a whole scuffle breaks out. Sophie and Jacy are going after it. Both teams are running over, trying to break it up. It kind of goes into the fan section a little bit.
For weeks, fans begged the WNBA to step in, to protect the face of the league, to call the hard fouls, to send a message that targeting Caitlin Clark wasn't going to fly. But the league hesitated. The refs swallowed their whistles. The silence got louder. And into that silence stepped Sophie Cunningham. She didn't wait for an official review. She didn't hold a press conference. She just showed up, played hard, and made it crystal clear. If the league won't handle this, I will. That's when everything changed. Sophie didn't just become a teammate, she became a symbol. The fans took notice fast. Fever Nation embraced her. Clips of her hard fouls and big threes started hitting timelines alongside memes, TikToks, and fan edits with captions like Black Belt Barbie and Clark's bodyguard. Even neutral fans, people with no stake in Indiana, started respecting the move. Not because it was flashy, but because it was necessary. She did what nobody else had the guts to do. Stand up and say, you don't get to build your name by hitting our star.
One of the biggest stars the WNBA's ever
Who's that?
had. Her name rhymes with Schmaitland.
Hurtland?
Yeah. What has that been like, seeing her not only kind of transform a league, but also just be like,
No,
is that fair to say? Okay.
not even just the league, but like
The
women's
sport.
basketball as a whole around the
Yeah.
world. No, I think it's awesome. I think it's so funny because she's like 22, 23 years old and the whole world is watching her.
The moment Sophie signed that card, the dominoes started falling, and they haven't stopped. Every Fever game since has carried extra weight. Every time Clark gets bumped, fans scan the floor for number 9. And when the Fever face Sheldon's new squad again, you better believe the cameras will be locked on both of them. Sophie's move didn't just create a viral moment, it created a storyline, a rivalry, and more importantly, a standard. Now, there's an expectation in Indiana. You don't let your star get shoved around. You don't let a teammate eat hits while you stand and watch. That's not just team pride, it's team identity. And Jacy Sheldon, whether fair or not, her reputation is now tied to that autograph. Not for buckets, not for defense, but for the night she took a shot at Caitlin Clark and got publicly claimed by Sophie Cunningham. That's going to follow her, not because fans are petty, but because in sports, moments matter more than stats. And this wasn't just a moment, it was a message. But Sophie wasn't finished reshaping the narrative, not by a long shot.
God, I wish we had more teammates, or I wish more teammates of Caitlin Clark would get this fired up when their transcendent superstar, who's now hurt and has missed half the games this year, has been the target, that some of the other players would get a little bit aggressive on behalf of Caitlin Clark. Get in between something. You never, this is in the NBA. Every team in hockey, Wayne Gretzky, Michael Jordan, I mean, these transcendent stars, it's always the goon, the enforcer. In this case, Sophie Cunningham, I mean, normally these guys, they're not really putting up numbers. The difference here is Sophie Cunningham is a real basketball player and a hell of a good one.
Sophie Cunningham didn't just stir up drama, she sparked something way bigger, a culture shift the WNBA didn't even know it needed. For years, women's sports have battled against the narrative that aggression equals unlikability. That being physical, emotional, outspoken, that being real, somehow makes you the villain. Sophie said, "Cool, I'll take that role." But here's the twist. She's not unlikable, she's not reckless, she's not a sideshow, she's relatable, she's productive, and most of all, she's unapologetically herself. That balance of toughness, talent, and timing is rare. It's the kind of authenticity fans latch onto, and they have. Black Belt Barbie is trending, fans are calling for merch, Sophie's becoming the second most beloved player on the Fever roster, right behind Caitlin herself. And it's not just because of what she did, it's how she did it. Not behind the scenes, not with fake smiles and soft PR, with ink, with grit, with buckets. And now, every young player watching knows you don't have to be the quiet sidekick. You can be the one who stands up, speaks out, and owns the moment. Because when Sophie wrote Property of Sophie Cunningham, she wasn't just clowning an opponent. She was carving out a space for herself, for Clark, and for the future of women's basketball. In a league where stars often have to smile through the pain, Sophie Cunningham smiled after the hit and signed it. She didn't ask for permission. She didn't wait for league statements. She saw her teammate getting targeted and decided, not on my watch. That kind of energy isn't just entertaining. It's essential. It builds locker rooms. It builds rivalries, and most of all, it builds respect. Not just for Caitlin Clark, but for a team that finally decided to fight back. Because let's face it, Clark can handle herself. She's taken the bruises, the trash talk, the whistles that never came. But even the toughest stars need someone who rides with them. Sophie Cunningham is that someone. And now, the WNBA knows it. So, was Property of Sophie Cunningham the ultimate mic drop or just the beginning of a league-wide wake-up call? Let us know what you think down in the comments. Smash that like button, subscribe if you're rocking with Fever Nation, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's next. Because if this story has taught us anything, it's that Sophie Cunningham is just getting started.